Legality Hill, Christian, and the Evangelist. So Christian changed his path to go to Mr. Legality's house for help, but he was afraid to go any further because as he came near the hill, it seemed so high and the side of it that was next to the roadside hung over so much, that Christian was afraid the hill would fall on him. So he stood there not knowing what to do. His burden also now seemed heavier to him than when he was on the way to the narrow gate. Flashes of fire came out of the hill, making Christian afraid that he might be burned. Thus, he sweat and trembled for fear, regretting that he took Mr. Worldly Wiseman's advice. And then he saw the Evangelist coming to meet him, and he began to blush for shame. The Evangelist got closer and closer, and approaching him, he gave Christian a stern look. "Evangelist, Christian, what are you doing here?" Christian had no idea what to answer, therefore, he stood puzzled before him. "Evangelist, are you not the man I found crying outside the walls of the city of destruction?" "Christian, I am that man, dear sir." "Evangelist, did I not direct you to the small wicket gate?" Christian, "Yes, dear sir." "Evangelist, how is it then, that you have been so quickly turned away?" "Because you are now out of the way." Christian, "As soon as I got over the slough of despond, I met a gentleman who convinced me that the village in front of me might have a man who could help me." Evangelist, who was he? Christian, "He seemed to be a gentleman, talked to me a lot, and finally convinced me. So I came here, but when I saw this hill and how it hangs, I was shocked." Evangelist, "What did the gentleman say to you?" Christian, "He asked me where I was going and I told him." Evangelist, "And what did he say then?" Christian, "Then he asked me if I had a family and I told him. But, I said, I am so laden with the burden on my back that I cannot take pleasure in them as before." Evangelist, "What did he say then?" Christian, "He urged me to get rid of my burden as soon as possible. I told him that was the ease I sought, and thus, going to the small wicket gate to receive further directions to get to the place of deliverance. He said that he would show me a shorter and easier path that will direct me to the house of a gentleman who can remove these burdens. So I believed him and turned out of that way into this, hoping that I might soon be relieved of my burden. But when I came here and saw things as they are, I stopped for fear of danger, and now I don't know what to do." Then said the Evangelist, "Stand still a little, that I may show you the words of God." So he stood trembling. Evangelist, "God says in his book, 'See that you do not refuse him that speaks. For if those who refused him that spoke on earth did not escape, much less shall we escape, if we turn away from him that speaks from the heavens.' He also said that the just shall have life by faith, but if any man draws back, my soul shall have no pleasure in him." Then the Evangelist said to the Christian, "You are the man that backslid, you started rejecting the advice of the Most High, and stepped out of the way of peace even to the point of being in danger of eternal destruction." Worldly counsel rejected. Then Christian fell at his feet as if dead, crying, "Woe is me, for I am ruined." Seeing this, the Evangelist caught him by the right hand, saying, "All manner of sin and blasphemy shall be forgiven men, be not faithless, but believing." So Christian revived a little and stood up trembling before Evangelist, as he had first done. "Evangelist, pay earnest attention to things that I shall tell you about. I will now show you who it was that misled you and who it was, to whom he sent you. The man that met you is none other than Mr. Worldly Wiseman, and how right it is for him to have this name, because he favors only the doctrine of this world, Therefore he always attends church in the town of morality, and partly because he loves the doctrine of that town the best, for it saves him from the cross. Because he is carnal, he seeks to oppose my ways, even though they are right. Now there are 3 things in this man's counsel that you must utterly detest. 1. His ability to lead you out of the way. The Lord says, "Strive to enter at the narrow gate, the gate to which I send you." Because narrow is the gate and confined is the way which leads to life, and there are few that find it. Therefore, hate his turning you out of the way, and loathe yourself for listening to him. 2. His zealous effort to make the cross dreadful to you, for you are to prefer it above the treasures of Egypt. The King of Glory has told you that he who will save his life shall lose it, and he who follows him, but does not love him above his father and mother, and wife, and children, and brothers, and sisters, yes, even his own life as well, cannot be his disciple. Therefore, you must utterly hate any doctrine that diverts you from the path of the cross. 3. You must hate his directing of your feet along the way that leads to death. And for that, you must clearly understand to whom he sent you and how unable that person is to deliver you from your burden. Mr. Legality, to whom you were sent, is the son of the bondwoman who is in bondage along with her children. She represents Mount Sinai as a mystery, which you have feared would fall on your head. Now if she with her children are in bondage, then how can you expect to be made free by them? Therefore, this legality is unable to set you free from your burden. No man has ever got rid of his burden by him, no, nor shall it ever be. You cannot be justified by the works of the law. Mr. Worldly Wiseman is an odd guide, and Mr. Legality is a cheat. As for his son, Civility, despite his smiling manner, is but a hypocrite, and cannot help you. There is no reality in this works intoxicated man's talk, but a trap to deprive you of your salvation by turning you from the way along which I sent you. The truth shines. After this, Evangelist called aloud to the heavens for confirmation of what he had said. And with that, words and fire came out of the hill under which poor Christian stood, which made his hair to stand on end. The words were pronounced. For as many as are of the works of the law, are under the curse. For it is written, "Cursed is everyone that continues not in all things which are written in the book of the law to do them." Now Christian expected nothing but death and began to cry out lamentably, even cursing the occasion when he met Mr. Worldly Wiseman, calling himself an idiot for taking his counsel. He was also ashamed to think that this carnal gentleman's arguments prevailed with him, causing him to turn away from the right path. Having scolded himself, he turned to Evangelist with great earnestness. "Christian, sir, what do you think? Is there hope for me? May I now go back to the path to the narrow gate? Shall I not be abandoned and sent back from there, ashamed? I am sincerely sorry for having listened to this man's counsel, yet may my sin be forgiven." Evangelist, your sin is very great, for you have committed 2 evils, you have forsaken the good way, and pursued forbidden paths. Nevertheless, the man at the narrow gate will welcome you, because he offers goodwill to approaching pilgrims. Even so, be very careful that you do not turn aside again, for then you may perish altogether, when his wrath is kindled but a little.